Hey guys, it's Brian. We're back in the garage with the Frostbite JL, and today we're going to install some beadlocks. Let's take a look. Alright guys, so these are the wheels we went with. These are going to be the KMC hexes. They are true beadlock. They are 5x5, 3.5 inch back spacing. We did go ahead and add some Apex Design rapid valves, so those are pretty cool. If you follow along with our other videos, you saw us install those. So today what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and mount our fifth one. We've done the other four already. I just want to show you guys how I go about mounting our beadlocks. So let's go ahead and take a look. Alright guys, so what we're going to do is go ahead and pull off the ring. They do have 4 bolts already installed, so you do need a 14mm. You do want one that's kind of shallow walled, so you can get in the real little recessed areas where the bolts are. That way you're not scuffing up the lip too much. So let's go ahead and we'll pull off the ring, and then we'll show you what we're working with. Alright guys, so now that that ring's off, you can kind of see where we're going to put all our bolts here. And you can see where the lip of the tire is going to go, the bead. Now what we need to do is go ahead and put our TPMS sensor on. So these Apex valves are pretty cool. They do have a little flange here with a little screw hole so we can put our old TPMS sensors on. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick and we'll show you how to do that. Alright guys, so this is going to be a Jeep style TPMS sensor. It does have this little T10 hex screw there. So you just pull these off your other valves. Then you do want to rotate this Apex valve on this particular wheel so it's pointing out like this. That way we have clearance to put this guy on. So what we go ahead and do is just slide it over this part here, and we're going to torque this down. This gets torqued down to about 10 inch-pounds per Apex Design's instructions. I'm just going to get it nice and snug. Alright, and that's what it's going to look like on there. So let's go ahead and get our tire. Alright guys, so we're going to go ahead and mount our beadlocks to these BFG KM3s. These are 37 inch. These are the ones we've been running. We just pulled them off our other wheels. Now we're going to reuse them. So to mount these, we want to go ahead and put some soapy water on the lip here. That way we're not going to pinch the rubber, and that way it'll slide on nice when we go ahead and put it on. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. I'm going to do it on both sides. I do want it to go ahead and pop onto the back bead nice as well. So let's go ahead and we'll do that. Just got a little dish soap with soapy water. Alright guys, so you want to go ahead and figure out which side of the tire you want facing out. And then you're going to take the back side and put it down towards the floor. And then what I like to do is I like to go ahead and line up the logo of the tire with the top of the wheel. So for this one, we're going to kind of do the BFG, and we're going to kind of get it centered on the D there with the valve stem. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. What you're going to do is just kind of plop this over the tire. You want to watch that TPMS sensor. You don't want to snap that off. Just like that. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to clock the wheel and the tire until we get it centered up here, and then we'll start putting our ring on. Alright guys, so another thing that's real important, and kind of why I did the soapy water on this side as well, is you do want to get this lip seated. So right now, see, it's not seated on this side. So what you got to do is kind of pull it back and tuck it behind that lip there. Some people have to use a screwdriver. These BFGs have been pretty easy. They've been going on pretty nice. So once you make sure that's all seated nice, we can go ahead and grab our ring. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and grab your ring. You do want to make sure that you line up your KMC logos. So you got your KMC logo here, and you've got one on each end. So we're going to put that at the 12 and 6 o'clock position. And then I went ahead and made sure that these two sides were oriented in the way that they sent the wheel, so all my wheels look the same, so it's not flipped like this. So left to right, it's matching as well. So let's go ahead, we're gonna put a little bit of anti-seize on, we'll get a couple bolts started, and then we'll get the rest of the bolts ready for you. Alright, so I'm going to throw a little anti-seize on here. Doesn't take a whole lot. We just don't want these to corrode inside the wheel, and we do want to remove them at some point when we go to change tires. So let's go ahead and do these. Get a couple started here. Alright guys, so what I like to do with these KMC wheels is I like to use the writing and the logos on the lip here to use as landmarks. So like as you see here, I've got them one to the right of the writing here. So I'm going to go ahead and cinch those down. When we do the rest of the bolts, we're going to use those landmarks. Some people will write on the wheel, some people will put tape on there so you can keep track of when you're torquing. I just go left to right and then circle all around the wheel. So I'll show you that guys in a minute, but what that does is that'll slowly bring the beadlock down evenly, so we pinch the tire evenly across the board and we don't get any high spots. So let's go ahead and we'll start getting these on. We're going to prep the rest of the bolts and then we can start torquing them down. Alright guys, so we're going to go ahead and unwrap all our bolts. KMC does send you some nice grade 8 hardware, and they also wrap them up in paper. So let's go ahead and get them all out. We're going to get them all with a little bit of anti-seize, and then we're going to throw them on the lip here. Alright guys, so we're going to go ahead and put a little bit of anti-seize on all our bolts. We do have all our grade 8 hardware out. We got washers on them. We're going to get anti-seize on them so they're ready to go. That way we can start throwing them in the wheel. So let's go ahead and put that on. Alright guys, so we're going to go ahead and start plopping these bolts in. Like I said, we're going to use our landmarks to slowly cinch this down. We'll put more bolts in here and we'll slowly cinch them down with the Milwaukee. Once this gets fairly snug, we're going to switch over to the torque wrench and then we'll start torquing them down. Alright guys, so once you've gone ahead and ratcheted in all the bolts and they're pretty snug, you can go ahead and switch on over to a torque wrench. I've been using this Milwaukee electric ratchet and it's got a torque protector, so it's pretty nice. So once you cinch these down, it'll actually stop and it won't let you over torque them. So what you want to do is you want to go clockwise like we were doing, and then you want to use your 4 reference points. So now that we have it all cinched down, it looks like the bead's coming down nicely. You want to just keep checking that your gap's all the same underneath here. Now we can go ahead and grab the torque wrench and start torquing. I'm going to start with 15 foot-pounds and then I'm going to slowly work my way up to 22 foot-pounds. So we're going to do 15. We're going to go around several times in that crisscross pattern, and then we'll switch the torque wrench to 22 and we'll go around several times until everything's torqued down and we're getting solid clicks every time we go around on a bolt. So it is a little tedious, it is time consuming. You do want to pay attention, you don't want to miss anything, and you do want to get it all nice and even. That way you don't have any kind of failures. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start that, and we'll show you a little bit of that, and then we'll come back in the end and we'll talk about it. Alright guys, we got our torque wrench sent to 15 foot-pounds. We're going to go ahead and start working our way around. I'm using the Tecton 3/8 torque wrench. This one's pretty nice because it goes from 10 to 80, so it's going to be a lot more accurate in that lower end. My other torque wrench goes up to 250 and it's not going to be accurate down to 20 very well. So we're going to go ahead and use this guy. We'll start going around and you'll kind of feel how it cinches the plate down there for us. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright guys, so I'm just using my method of using my reference points and then going 1 bolt to the right and continuing going clockwise in our 4 quadrants there. That'll get us all torqued evenly. We're not going to miss any bolts, and then that way we don't have to write anything on the wheel. So I'm going to go ahead and keep doing this. We'll bring you back towards the end and we'll let you know how it went. Alright guys, so now that we torqued all the bolts to 22 foot-pounds, we went around several times. You want to make sure that they're clicking solid every time with that torque wrench. You don't want to leave any of these bolts loose. Now it's time to go ahead and put air in here. I'll show you how to do that. Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit more soap on here. Just using a soapy sponge. Just want to really lube up the lip here so that that inner bead can pop on. So what we're doing now, since that outer bead's secure, we're going to put air in there until this inner bead pops out. So you do want to go ahead and support this tire, and you do want to get some room. You don't want to be anywhere near the front or the back of this when you're doing that, just in case you have a failure. So we're going to put it here, we're going to hook up my air compressor, and then I'll show you how that works. Alright guys, so now that we got our Smittybilt air compressor hooked up to the Jeep, we do have our San Diego Overland Quick Chuck. We're going to hook this up to the valve stem, and then we're going to fill it up full of air. Just a quick reminder, we are still doing a giveaway on this. I'll put a link for it down below. We got a few left that we're going to be shipping out to subscribers, so go ahead and check that out. Alright, let's get this guy hooked up. Alright guys, so now that we went ahead and popped on that inner bead, the tire is now seated to the rim, or the wheel here. So what we're going to do is we're going to fill it back up to road pressure, which I'm going to run them right around 27 PSI, and then we're all done. We'll wrap this up here in a second. Thanks guys. Alright guys, I also wanted to mention that it is very important with beadlocks to follow all the manufacturer's specifications for as far as when you torque them, how often, and the usage for beadlocks. Every manufacturer is going to be slightly different. They will all come with instructions like this, and you do want to go ahead and follow them. You do want to follow their torque specs, and you do definitely want to make sure you go back and retorque those beadlock ring bolts. Those are going to be 22 foot-pounds. Looks like their range is 20 to 24. So I'll go back and check those after the first couple hundred miles. You also want to retorque your lug nuts on new wheels too. The aluminum could expand slightly, and you want to make sure you get those torqued nice. So guys, just want to mention that. Beadlocks are awesome. They do require a little bit more maintenance, so I'm going to be carrying a torque wrench around with me. Alright guys, let's go ahead and finish this up. Alright guys, that's going to do it for how I install my KMC beadlocks. It went really smooth. I do like how they turned out. I do like that we added those rapid precision valves from Apex Designs, and I think this is going to be a great setup. Now I just got to go get them balanced. We'll get them on the Jeep. Alright guys, go ahead and like, subscribe, stay around for some more. We do have a Rubicon trip coming up, and it's going to be pretty fun. Alright guys, we'll see you on the next one.